Hey, this is decided this, and I'm just gonna make this video just to say, hey, here I am. And I guess I'll just make this just me talking stuff point because I really got nothing really good to say. But yeah, I mean, just looking around the internet and doing other things, and of course, I had a one hell of a good laughter looking at all the reviews of Connect Star Wars. The main reason was because the Connect Star Wars was supposed to be the one main game that was going to make the Kinect device the most wanted device of it all. And then they even made a nice little bundle. I'll admit it looks nice, but yeah, clusterfuck comes to mind. Yeah, I know it sold pretty big for a while, but now word of mouth is going out there and sending itself probably into a ditch. Maybe, or maybe they're just gonna go after the bundle. I don't know. But anyways, what I find funny is that you guys remember a long, long time ago when Samuel Tech Geek and some of these other people who were saying all these great things about Connect were putting up these videos. When if you remember when those Sony fanboys were saying, "Oh, but Microsoft's just stealing ideas from Sony with the whole iToy and blah blah blah." Well, yes and no. I mean, the whole "you are the controller" ad was originally done by Sony, which Microsoft is using now. But the Xbox 360 fanboys, Samuel and the rest of them, Zephyrnix, then they all ended up saying, "Well, the reason why the iToy died was because it was an absolute piece of shit and they couldn't get it to work." That's kind of bullshit. And there's kind of a reason why it's bullshit. I mean, yeah, they did have technical issues, but that's not why it died. Or, the PlayStation Eye is not really being used much, except for the Move, which isn't being used at all. In fact, the PlayStation Move is a complete joke. That is a joke. But the reason why the iToy died and Connect is kind of suffering from the same fate was that when I look at the parallels between the two vices, they're just suffering the same problems that I just can't help but find funny. See, the PlayStation Eye was, in fact, insanely popular when it came out. It had technical difficulties, but like most people would tell you, or the fans of the Skyrim games would say, fuck it, it has problems. We didn't give a shit. We're just gonna buy this up because it's a brand new piece of technology, and we're gonna love it. And this is gonna revolutionize games like no other. And everything was gonna go motion control, just like the Kinect, by the way. And it became insanely popular, and a lot of their games sold out a lot. And then it happened. It just slowly died out. The iToy didn't die out because people were like, "It's broken. The machine doesn't work. It has problems." No, the machine. The reason why the iToy just died out along with the PlayStation Eye is simply it just faded away. That's what ultimately killed it. It's just got boring. I mean, the motion control games that were coming out with it just didn't have much to it. And they were hoping to really, how can I say this? The scenes from Star Trek where they get into a holodeck and then say what they want to do, and then the whole room changes into that environment, and then they can interact with that environment exactly. Well, that's what they were hoping with the iToy, and now with the Kinect. And the problem is that it just doesn't exist. And then, of course, then they're saying, but oh, it's so much like a Minority Report, where Tom Cruise is doing all that shit with his hands. Yeah, and you know what was even more funnier? Tom Cruise also had these things around his hands called special effects and virtual monitors that he was able to move around. and it was holographic technology. You're just looking into a screen, a flat screen with no real holographic technology, and you're just waving your hands with nothing around your hands. Yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense. And you know what? I mean, technology does kind of exist, but doesn't. It's just we're not really there yet to make it a cheap, affordable. We can make, holographic rooms, basically go into a room and then basically tell a computer what we want that our environment to transform into, and then of course that whole room will become like the next Call of Duty game, and then you can wind up with a old machine gun and run around the environment and shoot pretend holographic soldiers. Yeah, then I will say that console gaming and PC gaming are dead. There's no way of coming back from something like that. But that technology is so far off. It isn't funny. Right now, it's just use the power of your imagination and look at the flat screen and see how you change it by waving your arms like a complete fucking idiot. And yeah, the PlayStation 9. How did it really die? Obscurity killed it. And how's the Kinect slowly dying and becoming nothing more than a doorstop? Obscurity is killing it. It's suffering the exact same fate. I mean, gameplay and controls are extremely limited to just rail shooters and just blah. And yeah, even the Nintendo Wii suffers from the same problem. That's why they're going back to their more traditional type of controller with some AR attributes to it. But I tend that most developers aren't going to give a flying fuck about that. And I mean, yeah, I mean having your inventory on the giant on the on the joystick controller is actually pretty nice, and it's a pretty good idea. But the whole waving your controller around and moving it up and down to make it do things, no one's going to care about that. I mean, we've already seen that with the PlayStation 3, and it failed miserably. And of course, then they're like, but that whole inventory on your, having a screen on your controller and seeing your inventories or your health failed on the Sega Dreamcast. That's not what killed Dreamcast. Sega kinda killed Dreamcast by doing two things. Starting up with the X32, and then shortly after that, I mean, well, first they had the Sega CD, and then the X32, which were add-ons to the Genesis, and then they came out with the Sega CDX, and then they came out with the Sega Saturn, and then they finally, did it all right with the Dreamcast. I mean, and the Dreamcast was ahead of its time, but the problem with the Dreamcast was they forgot to put DVD technology in it, and back then, PlayStation 2, Nintendo's GameCube, and Xbox. I mean, the original Xbox all had DVD technology, but the Dreamcast still was on CDs. Kind of an odd one there, but mostly, yeah, the Dreamcast was very powerful, but still on CDs. It didn't go with the DVDs. And yes, the Nintendo GameCube had micro DVD disc and no DVD playback whatsoever. But still, it was kind of limited for Sega to do after all the other clusterfucks they did before it. And ultimately, Dreamcast just died right there on the spot, and now Sega is nothing more than a software company. Kinda. They do make some hardware. That's it.